Okay. So as I said, my name is Teresa. I have a business called Think 6 Marketing Solutions. I'm based in Fermanagh, and I came to Bizcamp last year and was very inspired, I have to say, by the event. So I thought this year I'd give it a go and give you a presentation on some of the fundamentals around marketing. You probably are already aware, many of you, that the core elements within marketing are the 4 Ps. Hence the title, 4 Ps in a pod. So product, place, price and promotion. And I wanted to give you a visual today, so I was trying to think of something that would make you go away and remember what the 4 Ps in the pod presentation was about. And so I came up with this idea around these balls, the ping pong balls. So the first P I want to talk to you about is product fog. And for many businesses, they're often confused and are not clear about what they're actually offering. And when I ask them about this idea around a value proposition, do they really understand what that is? Do you have a value proposition for your business? Do you really understand what it is you're offering and how you add value to your customers? So essentially your product or your service is made up of a number of elements: your features and your benefits, who you're targeting, and the elements that make you unique, so your unique selling points. So are you all clear about what your unique selling points are? What makes you different from your competitors? Because we often find that businesses aren't that clear. They're copycatting. They don't actually document and understand what makes them different to their competitor. Your USP can come in the form of a number of different tools. For example, webinars, newsletters, buy products, useful information and referrals. And I'll give you an example of a byproduct. We recently carried out research for a client about a year ago, and we formulated the research, supplied them with the report, and they were very happy. But about 2 weeks later, we sent them through the raw data. It wasn't actually of any use to us anymore, but in fact it was very useful to the client. And they came back and said, thank you so much for that information, because now we can do further analysis and we can refer back to that information again. And that's a byproduct, essentially, of the project that we'd worked on previously. Providing customers with useful information, information that you actually know will be of benefit to their business. And again, an example of this is where you could be listening to the radio in the car and you hear an article about something that's very relevant to a customer. By texting them and telling them, switch on to Radio 4, switch on to Downtown Radio, there's a subject going on at the moment, it's very relevant to your business, can often make the client believe that and know that you're thinking about them. Of course, if you've got a huge client base, it's very almost impossible to keep track of all your customers, but over the course of 12 months, if you're doing this to a certain percentage of your clients, then that makes a difference to their business, and that's what sets you apart from your competitor. And referrals, we all have our own little black address book, our own little notebook of contacts for various different suppliers. And I would often get phone calls from customers saying, do you know somebody who knows somebody, or do you know somebody doing this? And I can give them the information. So they don't have to trawl through the internet, they don't have to trawl through previous contacts themselves. They'll know that when I give them a name and a telephone number, that person is probably the right person that they're dealing with. So I'm saving them time, and in many circumstances we'd save them some money. So I'd say, in terms of your product, please try and identify and be specific about your value proposition. What is it that you're offering, and what makes you different to your competitor? The next P is what I call the place predator. And are you a place predator? And what is a place predator? Do you see the opportunity to sell your product or service in everything and everywhere? Everyone is a potential distribution channel. And it's good to think traditional, but it's also good to think laterally. I want to give you an example here of an optician who wanted to expand their customer database. And they were struggling. They were in an urban location. They were in a one-way system, and they had no on-street parking. And they knew that there was a population out there of rural dwellers who weren't particularly interested or encouraged to come into this particular town to have their eye tests done. And she knew in particular that there were a high population of farmers who didn't have eye tests or weren't having eye tests on a regular basis. So she went to a local market which happened on a Friday evening from 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock and attracted over 200 farmers. And she asked the organisers of the market, can I please do some mobile eye testing, preliminary testing? And the organisers were completely happy with that. And she now has a number of farmers who are either referring her optician or they're actually braving the urban streets, the one-way streets and the lack of parking to come into her opticians to get her their eye tests. Do you know people who are sitting beside you, in front of you, behind you? You've got nobody beside you. Do you know who they are? Have you had an opportunity to introduce yourself to them? Do they know what you do? Can I ask you to turn around to the person, or beside them, in front of, and pass your business card? This is an opportunity to sell, and that's what Bizcamp is about, networking. So can I ask you, if you don't know the person who's either in front of you or beside you, to please interact with them and give them your business card. Okay? So you've made one new contact today. Yes? You've made 3 new contacts today. You never know. I would be an avid networker, and you never know who the person is who's sitting beside you, in front of you, behind you is, and who they know. For every person who's sitting in this room today, I would say that there are probably 1,000 contacts. Because you will each know at least 100 people, and you will each tell them, well, you may tell 50% of those you were at Bizcamp. And you may mention that one of the presentations was presented with ping pong balls. Who knows? Price. We're all talking about price. And it's a very sensitive subject. Lots of businesses are being beaten down on price, and it's not necessarily the right thing to do. I picked up this quote from Oscar Wilde, and he says that he describes a cynic as a person that knows the price of everything and the value of nothing. And I have to say, my sister-in-law is very fond of that phrase when it comes to some of her children. They know the price of everything and they know the value of nothing because they leave things up their tail. But customers will often find it difficult to understand where is the value. And that's up to us to tell customers where the value lies. So if a price is set, there's a reason for that price. And it's often based around value. Have you got a PVC business? And I'm not talking about double glazing. I'm talking about, do you have a price? Do you understand where you offer value? And do you know exactly what your costs are? And if you know those 3, you're in a very strong position to negotiate, to sell, and to win business. Do you offer value for money? And we all can say this, oh yes, I offer value for money. But how do you actually know this? How do you actually know that you're offering value for money? Do you ask? How often do you ask? If you have clients that you're working with on a regular basis, whether that be every month, every week, every year, whatever it is, how do you know that you're offering value for money? And the client that you were working with 5 years ago, and you may still be working with that client, you may be offering them a completely different thing, a different service, but how is that adding value? How are you offering value for money? And I would urge you to ask your customers the question. Add on instead of taking away. And this goes back to your USP. You have a price, you know what that price is and what it's based on, but there are other things that you could add in to your service that may not necessarily cost you an additional amount of time or money. It may be a byproduct. But in terms of the customer, it's adding greater value. And your talent check. What's a talent check? Somebody who's been in a business or in a service for 20 years has built a talent, has built skills, has built knowledge over that 20-year period. Similarly, somebody who's been in business or providing a service for 2 years has developed that talent. The longer you're offering that service and the longer time you're building on that talent, the greater it's worth. This is an article I came across where a gentleman needed to have heart surgery, and he was covered by medical insurance, so he could obviously have the heart surgery under his insurance. But he decided to pay one of the best surgeons, top-end surgeons in the UK to conduct his surgery. It cost him a lot more money than it would have done had he gone down the insurance route. And the reason why, of course, because of his health, but also because he said he wanted to be the furthest person away from the first operation. Okay, so the way he looked at it was that surgeon had performed 200 operations over 10 years. So he wasn't number one on the table, he was going to be number 201. And that's what he was paying for. So all the experience that was built up over those 200 patients, he was now enjoying the benefits of that experience because he was number 201. Does that make sense? Okay. I don't know if anybody was here at the previous talk, where the gentleman was Skyping in from India, and he was talking about creativity and innovation, and I suppose this is an area that's very close to my heart. Creativity and innovation is something, again, that sets you apart from your competitors. How many of you think you're creative? Good. Good. You're all creative. If you think back to when you were at school, and have you any teachers in the room? No? If you think back when you were at school, and I have 3 young children, and when they are preschool, they write and draw with crayons, with brightly coloured markers, colouring pencils, whatever they can get their hands on. And then they go into school and they're given a leaded pencil, a grey leaded pencil, and they have to learn to write with their leaded pencil. And there's absolutely no problem with that. But at a very early age, they're conditioned into doing things in a certain way. You can write the letters of the alphabet with a red crayon. There is no law to say that you can't. But automatically, my children will now pick up a pencil to write the letters of the alphabet. So their freedom around how they express themselves and how they think and how they write at a very early age is being conditioned. Here are some questions, and these are leading into this idea of creativity and thinking outside the box. Last Friday night I was bringing my 9-year-old son for a swimming lesson, and there was a full moon, and so proceeded a series of questions. And often, I don't know if any of you have children, but sometimes your children are talking at you and you're not really listening to them. And I was thinking about this presentation and I think this is really relevant to where I'm at in terms of creativity. So the first question was, he was looking out the window and he said, "Would you like to go to space, Mummy?" And I was like, "No, not really." "Why not?" "Because I think it would be too claustrophobic." "But it wouldn't be, because you have a big spaceship to float around." And we carried on that conversation for a couple of minutes, and he had a reason why, for every reason I had why not. And that gave me a little bit of a wake-up call, because we often are conditioned into the reasons why not, instead of the reasons why. The next question, and this was in the space of a half-an-hour car journey. What if dinosaurs were like dogs, or pets today? What if? Can you imagine sitting at home in front of the fire and a dinosaur sitting in front of the fire alongside you? Bizarre. Imagine having riding lessons on a Triceratops, and again, you can see a theme here. It's a 9-year-old boy, he likes dinosaurs. But yes, imagine that. Imagine just driving along the road and seeing a field full of Triceratops. And then finally, why can we not go for a walk in the rain? Why can't we go for a walk in the rain? We're not going to have any major detrimental effects. We all have waterproof clothing. It's not a problem to go for a walk in the rain. And the point is, overcome the reasons why not, see things differently, and do things differently. And this leads back to your competitive edge, offering value for money, and making you different, offering yourself, identifying USPs. So I briefly described to you the ping pong balls. I went into a sports shop last week and spent £6 on ping pong balls. It may mean nothing, it may mean something. But it's something that maybe you'll take away with today and you'll think, yeah, I remember the ping pong balls. And that might lead on, might trigger in another thought around marketing or around me or around Bizcamp. I wanted to mention another exercise that we carried out using pebbles. I worked for a car dealership a number of years ago, and we would organise events. And these events were often run on a very tight budget. And so we had to come up with a new sort of, attraction. And I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, okay, this dealership is in very close proximity to their clients. And that led me on then to start thinking about this phrase or this saying, we're only a stone's throw away. So I went into the car park and I collected 150 pebbles. The salesmen were thinking I was barking mad, and so we sent out the mailer. It didn't cost anything, it cost the price of a postage stamp. And we sold 2 cars, which was an awful lot more than the price of the postage stamp. So thinking creatively and thinking different and looking around you and seeing what other tools you can use to market yourself and make yourself different. Traditionally, untraditional. If you're working in small business and if you're working for yourself, it's often difficult to be different. But both the trends, we're coming up to Christmas, and how many of you are thinking about sending out Christmas cards and Christmas gifts? How much is it going to cost you? Think of yourself in the second week or the third week in January, where Christmas is over and everybody's a little bit deflated, everybody's eaten too much, drank too much, there's a pile of rotten paper, and then you get something through the post from a supplier that says, actually, welcome to the new year. And it could be anything. It could be an orange, a Jaffa orange, to express some sort of sunshine message. Both traditional. Make yourself a little bit different and look around you. And random, but not so random. I was talking to you earlier on about this idea of sitting in a car and listening to the radio, and then picking up the phone or texting a client afterwards to say, have you listened to Radio 4? I've done that a couple of times with clients where I've listened to the radio or seen something on television, and the next day I've thrown a link through to them to say, you need to watch this because it's really relevant to your business. I've gone to conferences where I know that none of the people who I think should have been there were there, and I'll take notes, and then I'll send them a very short paragraph and say, have you been? This was really interesting, this is what you missed. And it's surprising. People do come back and say, thank you so much, and then the call will eventually come in. It's not, this is slow burn. This isn't something that's going to change overnight, but it's slow burn. Make and take time. Do you take time in your business to think creatively about your business? How many of you actually own a business here, just as a matter of interest? Okay, so you mostly do. Do you actually take time out? Do you make time to think creatively about your business? Do you? It's so difficult, isn't it? But it's such a well worthwhile exercise. Targeting, we talk about targeting. And we all have, we can say, oh, we have a customer database of 3,000 customers. If you drill those down and you identify 20, and those 20 are the 20 you're going to communicate really well with and send them all out the ping pong ball, that's 20 people who will sit up and take notice about your business. Understand what makes those people tick. Understand what makes your customers tick, so that you can speak to them directly. And again, think outside the box. Think about, I get inspiration from lots of different areas of my life, from music through to cookery, through to film, through to my children, whatever it is. When I started doing this presentation, I was very conscious that Bizcamp, the theme of Bizcamp, is very fast-moving, it's very, often very technically focused. As you saw earlier on with the presentation from the gentleman from India, he's talking Silicon Valley, I'm talking not Silicon Valley, I'm talking back to basics. But old school is new school. He talked about innovation and creation. And there's the link there, because I'm talking about innovation and creation, thinking differently, thinking outside the box. What is the point? Well, the point is to stay in business and to be profitable. Okay? Thank you very much for listening. My name is Teresa O'Loughlin and I have a business called Think 6 Marketing Solutions. Anybody any questions? No?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
I missed the idea of where you got the idea of the ping pongs from.
Okay, so these are my peas.
Oh, right.
And I have 4 peas in my hand. And so each pea is called product, place, price and promotion. And for that you can have my peas in a pot.
Thank you.
And essentially your 4 peas are so tightly linked, they are like 4 peas in a pod. Once you make an effect on your product, that then has an effect on your price, your place and your promotion. So one affects the other and there's always a knock-on effect. So you always have to keep focusing and keep refocusing and revisiting. We often talk about marketing as advertising, and as hopefully after today, marketing is not advertising. Marketing is about the 4 Ps. And your advertising is often the last tool that you will use. So, but thank you for asking the question. Anybody else any questions? No? I think I finished early. If anybody wants a business card or a ping pong ball, please help yourself. Don't be shy.
Thank you.
Thank you.